Stahl doing a rap chance that'll go off the leg of a defender. Now a chance for Chatfield out in front to score! Jesper Fast knocks it home! Carolina takes advantage and gets on the board. It's 1-0 Hurricanes. Getting this one into safety. Zach Holm. Carolina will knock it away. And here comes a 2-on-1 for the Canes. Bunning gets it, takes it across. They score! Jack Drury's first of the season. Put it on the board, and it's 2-0 Carolina. Carolina makes it 3-0 Teuvo Teravainen as this line gets it going. His 10th of the year, it's 3-0 Carolina. Now behind the net, though, is Connor McDavid. He's taken off the puck by Jalen Chatfield. And the Canes trying to break out, and they will. Here comes Jarvis in on Skinner. He scores! Seth Jarvis, a wicked wrister. 4-0 Carolina. Now Carolina will get to the puck in the neutral zone. Played off the boards. Svechnikov taking a look, sending it across, and unable to pull the trigger with Shea. You get it back out in front. Svechnikov makes it. He scores! Behind the net to Marty Necas. And he buries this one, and Carolina gets their 4-goal lead back. Behind the net, Jarvis with it. Jarvis will come away with the puck. He's trying to feed Burns, but that's intercepted by Draisaitl. Tipped up for McDavid. McDavid takes a peek into the Canes zone. Back for Draisaitl. Kochetkov! Niet! With the glove. The puck stays in the circle. They'll fight for it, and it'll come out for Brent Burns, and he'll just backhand this one. Empty net. Burns! Bingo! Carolina! It'll be a shorthanded goal.
Hey, it's the Canes Corner podcast. I am Adam Gold. How is everybody tonight? Happy Thanksgiving in advance. For those of you in Australia, I have no idea if you care about Thanksgiving, but in America, in about 18 hours, I don't know if that math is any good, we're going to feast. I hope you will have a great day down under. Wherever you are listening, thank you very much for spending some time here on the Canes Corner podcast. I never do this. I never do the normal housekeeping. Do us a favor. Caress the like button. That means you'll know about it whenever it happens. You'll get alerts. I think that's the way it works. Or if you're just listening to the podcast as normal people podcast, then subscribe to it, follow us, give us a review if you like, because all of it matters. We love the feedback anyway. We're brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it's for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham, which probably doesn't do you any good in Adelaide, but it certainly does people good who live in the triangle here in North Carolina. All right, lots of stuff excuse me, that was almost English. Lots of stuff to get to tonight here on the Canes Corner podcast. And we're going to run through the goals because I think the goals gives us a lesson. The goals give us a lesson as to how this is supposed to look. Carolina won the game in a 5-minute and 30-second stretch of the first period. Won the game. Now, it got a little hairy, and we'll talk about why. But ultimately, this game was over from the 9:17 mark when Jesper Fast started the scoring until 14:47 when Seth Jarvis made it 4-0. We were done at that point. Now, that doesn't mean that Carolina was great the rest of the way. First period was. But that game, when you go up 4-0 on just about anybody, you are winning the game. But there were lessons to be learned about how Carolina would needed to play. I think the second half of the second period was a problem, and the early part of the third period was a problem. Part of that is Edmonton was desperate. They're playing a different way. But honestly, Carolina was so good in the first period and won the game. We got a lot of things to discuss. I made 4 points that I want to get to And we'll do that over the course of the next, 25 minutes or so, whatever it is, however long we're going to stay awake before we all, kind of part for Thanksgiving. All right. I think it's good here to go through some of the goals first, and then we'll do that. Then we'll get to some other things, and we'll kind of glance through your comments as well. We got a little bit of a late start tonight, but such is life. All right, so let's start with the Hurricanes' first goal. And I thought Carolina was very dominant early on. And actually, I'm just going to depart from what I said a second ago because I want to start with one element here. And because this is one of the four things I wanted to get to, but I'm going to start with it because I think it kind of leads to everything else. And I asked this of Rod Brind'Amour a couple of years ago. I said to him, when you're playing Edmonton, would you rather play Edmonton when they've got McDavid and Draisaitl on the same line? Or because they're so unbelievable, even individually, that together they create tons of problems? Or would you rather play them separately? And he did not hesitate a second. He went, oh, put them together. Makes my job easier. I know which defensive pair I'm going to use, and I can get a matchup. Even if I'm on the road, I can get a matchup I want. And that was the difference. In the first two periods, McDavid and Draisaitl together, Stahl, Martinook, Fost, Shea, Pesce. Boom. Done. Game over. First shift that they were on the ice, that line did not start. Stahl, Fost, Martinook did not start because the visiting team puts their line out first, and the home team gets to match. So the visiting team started with, I believe it was Nugent Hopkins, Evander Kane, Zach Hyman. Hyman was dynamite tonight, and he's a great player. So they started with that trio, and the Hurricanes, Rod Brind'Amour matched with Svechnikov, Kotkaniemi, and Natchez, who were tonight. Anyway, Slavin and Burns was the defensive pair. But the next line on the ice was McDavid, Draisaitl, Warren Foegele, our old friend. So over the boards go Stahl, Martinook, Fost, Shea, Pesce. Boom. And therein lies the reason why Carolina was up 4-0. Because other than the first time they were on the ice, and the first half of that shift, they had to defend. But these guys stay on the ice for a long time. And in the last maybe 20 seconds or so, Draisaitl and McDavid created some offensive opportunities. Carolina survived it. And that was the end of the first period for the dynamic duo. Because the rest of the way, every time Stahl and Fost and Martinook were on the ice, they had the puck in the offensive zone. And that's what they do. And that's why Rod Brind'Amour would rather have McDavid and Draisaitl playing together because I know where both of those guys are. And even though there was extra shifts had because Edmonton was playing 11-7 tonight, I believe they were, because there was, so McDavid or Draisaitl got some extra shifts out there. For the most part, every time McDavid and Draisaitl were on the ice, there was Stahl, and there was Fost, and there was Martinook, and Shea and Pesce. So the tactical battle was won by Carolina's head coach. And when you've got a guy like Jordan Stahl, who is big and strong and can lean on people as fast as McDavid is, when that line has the puck, you're just not getting it from him. So McDavid and Draisaitl and Foegele had to play defense for too much, certainly in the first period and beyond, and that was it. Maybe not it, but as it turned out, it was the critical part of the game. So now let's get through, because it leads us to the first goal, because that's what happened on the first goal. So we're about 9 minutes in. Carolina with the Stahl line on the ice against McDavid and Draisaitl. They have the puck pretty deep in the offensive zone and a little bit of a cycle game. The puck eventually does come out, but they collect it and it goes back in.
Stahl doing a wrap chance that'll go off the leg of a defender. Now a chance for Chatfield out front to score! Jesper Fast knocks it home. Carolina takes advantage and gets on the board. It's 1-0 Hurricanes.
Yeah, so the puck comes out of the zone, but you're winning all the physical battles, whether it's down low or you're winning puck battles in the neutral zone. You're faster to pucks, and it goes right back in. And it leads to Jesper Fast with a garbage goal right there at the top of the crease. He actually needed 2 whacks at it, and it just trickled across the goal line. In fact, 4 of Carolina's, well, the Natchez goal didn't just trickle. The first 3 Carolina goals, I'm not sure the puck was moving any faster than maybe, I don't know, 1 mile an hour, maybe less, half a mile an hour when they crossed the goal line. Because the next goal, which happened 35 seconds later, started with really good defensive play by Jalen Chatfield to deny space. Then Dmitry Orlov comes and deflects the puck. And I want to get this right. And then it goes to Jack Drury and Michael Bunting on a 2-on-1 that ultimately Drury kind of nudges over the goal line. Good defensive effort by Evan Bouchard of Edmonton to really deny an easier opportunity, but ultimately Drury got his first goal of the season, 18 games in. He's played much better. He needs to be better offensively because that's a line that needs to be able to take advantage of their matchups. And if Drury can get going just a little bit offensively, you're playing with skilled players. You're playing with guys who can score. Michael Bunting and Steph Nason were on that line tonight because of some power play time that kind of built up over time, and because of McDavid and Draisaitl taking so many third-period shifts, they didn't get a lot of time. But I thought it was an effective line tonight. They get on the score sheet. Finally, Jack Drury does. Minute and a half later, minute 31, I believe, later officially, Teuvo Teravainen gets the goal that starts, much like a lot of offensive zone time starts with the Jordan Staal trio. Heavy forecheck behind the net. Seth Jarvis, Sebastian Aho, Teuvo Teravainen, all below the goal line. Ultimately, puck comes loose. Aho brings it out. Little backhand pass across to Teravainen for the goal. Makes it 3-0. 2 minutes and 6 seconds from the Fast goal to the Teravainen goal to make it 3-0. We had to wait a whole, 2:24 later? I believe 2:24 later. That's right. That's what the math says. Before Seth Jarvis made it 4-0. And the cool thing about the fourth goal was that it was a 3-zone goal, and it started with Jalen Chatfield making a defensive play on the one and only Connor McDavid.
Now behind the net, though, is Connor McDavid. He's taken off the puck by Jalen Chatfield, and the Canes trying to break out. And here comes Jarvis in on Skinner. He scores! Seth Jarvis, a wicked wrister! 4-0 Carolina.
That was the only goal I think that the goaltender could have done anything with. That was it. That was the only one that a goaltender could have done anything with for Edmonton. And at that point, if you're Stuart Skinner, you're probably shell-shocked. You weren't getting any help, but that play started with Jalen Chatfield, essentially taking the puck from Connor McDavid. I mentioned this in the aftermath. Connor McDavid is the rarest of beasts in the NHL. He's big. He's faster than everybody. He changes directions without losing any speed or momentum. And essentially, the puck is stuck to his stick. And he's got an incredibly quick release and is also as accurate as the release is fast. So he is a cheat code. And it's very difficult for defenders whether you're an offensive player, a forward, or a defenseman. Very difficult for defenders to stay with him. And Jalen Chatfield was up to it. And he took the puck from him, actually knocked him to the ice. I mean, it wasn't like a physical thing, but McDavid tried to move on him, and Chatfield didn't bite, and ultimately took the puck right from him, and there was some contact, and McDavid goes down, and Chatfield starts the play. He gets the puck to Teuvo Teravainen up to Jarvis, and it's 4-0. Those 4 goals happened in 5 minutes and 30 seconds. And that sort of was the ball game right there. Now, it wasn't as smooth sailing as it should have been, and I understand it's hard to play with a big lead at times. But the Hurricanes, I think, were their own worst enemy. I think it would have been different had the game stayed 5-on-5 in the second period. But unfortunately, it did not. We had power play time. We had 4-on-4 time. The ice opened up. The structure broke down. And the game really changed. But at the end of the first period, very curious penalty call on Steph Nason for, I'm not even sure what they sent him to the box for, interference, not even sure, holding, roughing, illegal procedure, I don't know. But it looked to me like, at the very least, it should have been matching minors with he and Warren Fogle, because they sort of both took each other down. But I guess when you're leading 4-0, and they're going to, err on the side of evening it out, the Oilers got the power play, and they needed all of 5 seconds. They won the faceoff. They get the puck in behind Carolina's defense, and there was nothing Antti Raanta could have done. Now, what happened, unfortunately, is that on that play, it appears, Antti Raanta went down with a lower body injury. They say it was precautionary. That's fine. But it does leave some questions going into Friday's game. The Hurricanes obviously are not practicing tomorrow, so we will not know until Friday's morning skate. Is Antti Raanta okay? And can he play? Or is it going to be Kochetkov? And if Antti Raanta is not good enough to play, is Yaroslav Halak going to be signed? He's been here for now the better part of 2 weeks on a professional tryout. Frederick Anderson is off dealing with his blood clotting issue. And the Hurricanes have only one other goaltender in the system available to them right now, and he is playing at the ECHL level, and that's Yanni Peretz. He was the goaltender at Quinnipiac, national champion, who was signed as soon as that season ended because he was an undrafted free agent. He was free to sign because he was an older player. Now, what he has done historically in his life is stop pucks. But his adjustment has not gone super well at the ECHL level. It hasn't been bad, but unless he's coming up solely to just be the extra goalie, Carolina's going to have to figure something out if Antti Raanta is not well enough, if you will, to play. So Carolina's suddenly in a goaltending crisis. We thought they might be. Obviously, that's why they went out and kicked the tires on Jaro Halak. Now, as I understand it at this point, they have tried to sign Halak and do a conditioning stint in the minor league so he can go somewhere and get a couple of games in before they actually sign him. I think they want to see him in a game. And he has not been open to that. Carolina might be backed into a corner here. We'll see. No idea what is going to happen at all with this situation. I don't know if Carolina might have to go elsewhere for a goaltender. It's too bad that Jack Campbell has such a horrendous contract in the Oilers organization. Frankly, their goaltending situation is not good. But Hurricanes would be not interested at all unless essentially Edmonton ate every ounce of that contract. Well, they can't. They can only eat as much as half of it. But Jack Campbell just has not covered himself in glory, if you will. as a goalie. Anyway, the Hurricanes might have a goaltending issue beyond the issues that we have already seen over the course of the year. So that's period one. Hurricanes with a 4-0 lead. Then it's 4-1. Stahl beats McDavid. Ronta goes down with an injury. Then we get to the second period. Martin Necas early on makes it 5-1. All right, Carolina can kind of cruise from here, right? Here's the problem. They kind of cruised from there, and that isn't good. Carolina's power play over the last 5 games, they've scored some power play goals, right? But it hasn't really been good. And part of it, and Rod has addressed this in comments he has made after games, is it's been a little too fancy. And I thought Carolina's passing on the power play, which was 0 for 5 tonight, was really, really bad. It was soft. It was kind of overdoing it in terms of you don't need to be this fancy. We don't need backhand, little drop, little slide. I mean, it's very possible that right now what the Hurricanes need on their power play is throw the puck into the corner and go get it. And lean into your identity, which is the forecheck. I'd like to see that because at least maybe you keep the puck in deep and you don't turn it over as much because Carolina's been giving the puck away. They gave up a shorthanded goal tonight, and it seems like there have been more shorthanded opportunities against Carolina this year than I can ever recall. It has really been messy, even when the power play has been good. Edmonton had a few chances with a man disadvantage tonight. There was actually a borderline 2-on-0 that Teuvo Teravainen, after giving the puck away, hustled back and kind of bothered enough that Edmonton didn't really get a good shot on goal. But it was really a 2-on-0. So I thought in the second period, Carolina power plays kind of sucked the life out of the game. And that's no good. You don't want your power play, especially when you have a 5-1 lead, to lead to the game being, wait a second, why isn't this game basically over already? And it led to the shorthanded goal. And that was players. We don't have to single players out here, right? And that led to some not so spectacular back checking after losing the puck in the offensive zone. And it just it almost looked even strength. And it shouldn't look even strength when you are at a man advantage. Hey, look, you're going to give up some shorthanded chances if the puck is turned over near the blue line, stuff like that. But Carolina just backed off as Edmonton skated it out. I don't even know how a shorthanded chance, was born out of that, but it was. And ultimately, it was a rebound try. Again, what? From Matthias Ekholm. That ended up making it 4-2. Early in the third period, Zach Hyman with a deflection. And by this point, Chris Knobloch, the new coach of the Oilers, had separated Draisaitl and McDavid. He was playing McDavid with Zach Hyman and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins on, I guess, their top line. And I don't remember who Draisaitl was playing with. I guess it was Evander Kane. And I'm not sure who the third forward was there. But the McDavid line came to life. McDavid and Hyman and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins were really good together, and that line created a goal almost immediately in the third period. Great backhand pass from McDavid to Hyman right on the top of the crease. He deflected it past Kochetkov. Suddenly it's 5-3, 17 or so minutes left in the game, and you're going, wait a second. Why are we here? Why is this thing a game? So there were things, obviously, that Carolina will not be pleased at, but you were so good for the first 20 minutes. And even analytically speaking, Carolina was dominant in the first 30 minutes, first 20 minutes, maybe close to the first 30 minutes. Just the numbers off Natural Stat Trick at 5-on-5. 28-10 shot attempt advantage. 7-2 edge in grade A scoring chances. A 17-2 edge in scoring chances. It was a dominant first period. And that was primarily because Stahl, Martinook, Fost erased McDavid and company from the game. Other than that first shift they were on the ice, it was all about 11, 48, and 71, with, of course, help from Shea and Pesce. Midway through the third period, about the time Carolina started screwing up their power play, is, to me, where the game really shifted. And you don't want your power play to suck the life out of the room, but I kind of felt like it did. But other than that, I thought Carolina kind of got back to it the last, say, 10 or so minutes of the game, where I thought they were back on top of it defensively. But the third period ultimately didn't look good for Carolina, and it was Edmonton's best period at 5-on-5. An 8-1 edge in grade A scoring chances. And ultimately, because of the way Edmonton pushed at the end, the game looks analytically a whole lot more even. And in fact, according to expected goals in all situations, it was essentially a wash that it should have been a 3-3 hockey game. So real quick about Edmonton, and we don't care that much, but the Oilers are such a mess defensively because Carolina scored 6 goals and only one of them was remotely stoppable by a goaltender. The others weren't even, they weren't even great shots. They weren't shots. They were shovels. Foss just poked it in. Drury just poked it in. Teravainen just kind of shoveled it across the line. The Jarvis goal was a legit shot from a tough angle, but it wasn't like, how did that go in? He beat Stuart Skinner far post. Natchez was a rebound of his own miss. So right at the top of the crease. There's, nothing the goaltender could have done, and the Burns was just an aerial flip backhand with the net empty. Edmonton's defense is atrocious. And they have some pretty good players back there. But they're going to have to address some things. They are now 5-12-1. Now, there is an old adage. It's not really an adage. It is kind of a reality in the NHL that if you're not in a playoff position by Thanksgiving, you're probably not a playoff team. Edmonton is 7th in the Pacific Division. They are 14th in the Western Conference. They have no goaltender that's worth anything right now. I don't know where the Oilers are headed. It doesn't appear that group of, stars, it doesn't appear that they're headed for the playoffs. Now, this is another team, one of the favorites, right? The Devils in the same position right now. One of the favorites going into the season. They were right behind Carolina among the favorites to win the Stanley Cup. Devils are 8-1. Lindy Ruff's calling his team out. Similar to how Rod Brindamore called out his top guys about a week ago. Interesting about this is that the Hurricanes, while calling out their top guys at times, have been able to win enough to kind of keep themselves in a pretty good position in the standings while the team kind of remembers, if you will, not figures out, but remembers how they're supposed to play. And for the first, we'll just say 30 minutes tonight, I thought the Hurricanes remembered how they were supposed to play. Defense led to offense. Forecheck led to scoring opportunities. Puck behind the net became really grade A scoring chances in front. And I've always said this about the Hurricanes, and I think I believe it more about the power play than anything else. I think the Hurricanes are at their most dangerous in any situation when they go low to high, when they have the puck behind the goal, the opposing goal, and they get it out in front. And maybe that goes true for every team, but I think for Carolina, watching them as much as we do, when they get the puck behind the other net, they're unbelievably dangerous. Again, I could be wrong. I think that's the way Carolina needs to play. I think they need to simplify things a lot on the power play. Let's see. The Aho line was very good again. Again, I think that was mostly good early when the McDavid and Draisaitl tandem was split up. I thought the McDavid trio got Aho, and I thought they were better than the Aho line from the time they made that split to the end of the game. I thought the Aho line was kind of scrambling around in their own end a little bit, but again, it becomes more difficult to play with that big lead, but in some ways that's a little bit of an excuse. I don't think you have to take your foot off the gas. I understand human nature, though. Real quick, back to Antti Raanta. Talked about it. Hope he's okay. But I was impressed with Pyotr Kochetkov. There were 2 or 3 things that really jumped out to me. One, the poke check on McLeod early in the second period, where I know Tripp likes to say he gets a little horny with his stick sometimes. Hey, he's a young guy. Happens. But the poke check was the right play at the right time, and it erased the scoring chance. The save on Draisaitl, not only was it a good save, it was a good read. He knew Draisaitl was coming in to shoot. McDavid dropped in the puck, and he attacked it, and he read where Draisaitl was going, because he kind of moved into the save as well. Maybe that's not a good thing. I'm not a goalie. But I thought the whole thing was great from Kochetkov. Don't fault him on any of the 2 goals he allowed in. And he's been good in relief in his career. What I'd like to see from him is just a little bit more consistency, and he's going to get an opportunity. We keep saying it. Kochetkov is going to get an opportunity to stack starts here, especially if Raanta needs a few days off. And now, no more time in between games. We played tonight. Today's the 23rd. No, today's the 22nd. Tomorrow's the 23rd. We'll play the 24th. That's Friday. They'll play the 26th. That's Sunday. And then the games are just coming more rapid. So if Raanta can't go, if he's not quite there, he's okay to back up, but you don't want him to start. This is your opportunity, Pyotr. And I keep saying it, and I think the team kind of proves it with their decisions. They want Kochetkov to take over. They want it. This is the chance, because they understand that the more you play Antti Raanta, the more you expose him to the injury. Because again, Ranta's made of paper mache. Paper mache is not built to last. So in a perfect world, Kochetkov would play, let's say, 3 out of every 5 games. And frankly, he should only play Raanta at home. He doesn't get credit for this win. No, does he get credit for the win? I think he does, right? It would be 26-2-2. He played the entire first period. The Hurricanes led 4-1 after 1. I think he gets credit for the win. So I don't think it's not like baseball where you have to go at least half the game. So 26-2-2 in his Canes career. I think that's pretty good. One more thing, and Fem Flurkin brings it up and reminds me. Jalen Chatfield, baby. Chatfield, Orlov, yes, make it happen. Tonight they were excellent as a group or as a pair. Can 2 be a group? That they were excellent as a pair tonight. And for my money, it's what Dmitry Orlov needs. And yes, you're going to have some issues on the power play without Tony DeAngelo in the lineup. But I think it's the best thing for Carolina defensively. So Orlov can play his normal game, and Carolina can have somebody who is, I think, really outstanding defensively on the ice. I asked Jacob Slavin before the game what he was, basically give me a scouting report on Chatfield, and Slavin just beamed. The 2 guys are close. They go to church together. They're very, their faith is very important to them. But I think Slavin looks at Chatfield and he sees somebody who is just getting better and better and better. He just needs to play. And I think there's an offensive part of Chatfield's game that I think we'll see. He's so fast. So really good stuff. Really good stuff for Carolina defensively tonight. The only thing that I really didn't like at all was the fact that the power play was so bad. So bad. First period, Carolina wins it, and hopefully they'll have a first period like that against Tampa on Friday night. By the way, that game is an 8 o'clock start. Real quick, I mentioned at the beginning that, we'd love for you to subscribe to this and let us know what you think, because your subscription to this, you're liking it, whatever we do, however you kind of become part of the family here, it reflects well. It benefits us. We want you to do that. Same thing with the podcast in normal podcast form. So do us a solid and let us know what you think by subscribing or liking and all of that. One more thing. I received a letter from a kid, and if you are either the kid or the father of the kid, send me an email. agold@999thefan.com, because I've got something for you. So send me an email, agold@999thefan.com. If you are either the child, shouldn't say child, the young man or the young man's dad, please send me an email, agold@999thefan.com. All right, like and subscribe. I don't know what it is. I don't do these things very often. Anyway, it's been fun. Happy Thanksgiving. The Canes carved the Edmonton Oilers. The Jordan Staal line mashed the Connor McDavid line. They roasted the Oilers defensive core, and they deep fried goaltender Stuart Skinner. I just spewed out all of my Thanksgiving puns right there. And there was some sauce. No, there were no passes with sauce tonight. It was a pretty blue-collar win for Carolina, especially the first period. All right, we got to go. We're brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it's for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. No place like it. Sammy Hannah's crew do a great job. You should check them out if you are in North Carolina, in the United States, or even Southern Virginia. You can do it. But if you're in Australia, you might have to find some other place. Aluminumcompany.com, or if you're in Alaska, you might have to find another place. Appreciate your time. We'll see everybody Friday night after we all wake up from our food comas and the Hurricanes take on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Until then, let's hear this one more time.
Now behind the net, though, is Connor McDavid. He's taken off the puck by Jalen Chatfield. And the Canes trying to break out, and they will. Here comes Jarvis in on Skinner. He scores! Seth Jarvis! A wicked wrister! 4-0 Carolina.
Doesn't get better than that, right? Good night.